That is the Baratza Encore and the Technivorm Mocha Master. 6 minutes to brew. Hey YouTube, what's up? Welcome to the coffee show, where we talk about coffee, things involving coffee, coffee beans, anything you think of relating to coffee. Might even get off topic because that's what I do. This is the first episode. This is something I'm going to do not just once in a while. I'm going to do it all the time because I'm constantly trying new coffees. This is super hot. Just got a new coffee maker, the Technivorm Mocha Master. I also got a grinder, the Encore from Baratza, and I really like it so far. This is the first pot of coffee I've brewed. You guys are witnessing me drip coffee. It's unreal how rich a cup you can make it without it being bitter. This coffee is Rwanda. I'm not gonna try and just massacre that, but you guys can read it. Today's Christmas Day. If you celebrate, Merry Christmas, Happy New Year. This coffee is stellar, by the way. Brews at 200 degrees. Approved by the Specialty Coffee Association of America and Europe. Brews a liter of coffee in 6 minutes, I believe. 10 cups. 10 cups in 6 minutes. It's 10 European cups. This coffee I roasted the 18th? Yeah, the 18th. So this pot I brewed with 50 grams of coffee. The SCAA recommends somewhere between 45 and 60 grams of coffee as their standard. That's what they hold as a gold cup standard. You can check it out on their website. I'll put the link down in the drop box. Some of you may wonder why I use a straw. Because I have a giant beard. Gets in my mustache and then dribbles all down the front of me, so straw keeps it neat. Someday I will find a left-handed mustache mug, because I am left-handed. So I usually smoke a pipe. I got some tobacco set out drying to go with my coffee, because what better to go with coffee besides baked goods? I love Danish and all that kind of stuff. I got my calabash out. As soon as this dries up enough to smoke, shouldn't be too long because it's fairly dry in this house. But I had to switch to my calabash because I have just been roasting my tongue the last couple of days. I got a couple of pipes from a friend and I have been hitting them pretty hard. I tend to be a fast smoker. Well, turns into a roasted tongue. It's currently snowing outside here in glorious upstate New York. It's not snowing real hard, but it's snowing enough. So the coffee maker I have brews into a thermal carafe, which is my absolute favorite thing. In my opinion, and a lot of other people's, one of the best ways to get your coffee to stop tasting burnt and bitter is don't leave it on a glass carafe on a heating element. Doesn't make any sense. Just keeps cooking your coffee down. I was curious to see how flat the bed grind would be in the hopper in the brew basket after it brewed, and I will grab it for you and show you. I left it specifically to show you this. It's flat, completely flat. Probably hard to see with my awesome lighting, but completely flat. There's no sometimes they all go up the sides and all that, and none of that with this brewer. Highly recommended. I got the fancy polished stainless. This coffee is phenomenal, by the way. It's very robust. Like, I feel like I'm tasting coffee for the first time the way it was meant to be tasted. So we got a little bit of Christmas music on, kind of keep things light. This uses number 4 filters. I'm gonna have to get some more, but it was really easy to set up. It came. I ran a full pitcher through 10 cups of water to kind of rinse it out and make sure it was gonna hold. Because the tragic story of this coffee maker is the first unit I got in the mail, which is sitting over there in a box waiting to go back, didn't hold water. It did, but it ran all down the front, and I had a liter of water all over the floor in my office, which was not cool. Fast forward a few weeks, and Friday I got a package in the mail, and they had reshipped it. I contacted them, and they said I could either have a refund or I could have another unit if I wanted to wait a little bit longer. And I said, well, I waited a few weeks anyways. It took 2 months for them to ship it, so I said, what's another week or two? And I really wanted the machine. I wanted this particular brand of coffee maker for better than 10 years, I'd say. When I first started to really get into coffee and drink coffee more on a consistent, permanent basis, every single day it was something. And I started to seek out different coffees in different places, but a lot of the places you go, the coffee, one is over roasted. Starbucks, for instance. Now, I'm not trying to hate on Starbucks. Drank it for years, and if that's what's there, then that's what I'll drink. But what I am saying is, if you start drinking coffee that you put the time and love into, I roast my own beans, a full box of beans, all different kinds. I grind my own beans just before I brew it, which makes a huge difference in flavor, freshness, obviously. The stuff that's on the store shelves is dead. It's been sitting there for who knows how long. You grind coffee, you've got about 3 minutes before it starts to break down. Within 15 minutes, it's dead. And if you drink Starbucks coffee, drink Starbucks coffee. Love it. Own that shit. But what I'm saying is, you start to notice different nuances when you go different places and you have different baristas make you coffee, any kind of drink, it doesn't matter. My definitive drink to go get at a coffee shop is usually a mocha, a hot mocha. I just love it. It's good. If they do it right, it's really, really good. I've had some places that are so overly, how do you want to say, overly done. Too much chocolate. The beans are roasted well past the point of no return. Or they pull the shot to the point where it's bitter. Sometimes it's not really the fault of the bean, it's not anything else than the water's perfect. That's something we'll be talking about in another episode. Water. Your water quality is a huge to do with how your coffee tastes. They have things you can do using distilled water with like third wave packets in there. I haven't tried a third wave yet. I definitely want to try it. I'm completely, totally interested in it because now I have a coffee pot that can actually take full advantage of it. I've been using a Brita pitcher. We have lead in our water here, I know that for sure. So we try to avoid drinking out of the faucet straight. We're either bottled water or a Brita pitcher. That alone will change the face of your coffee. I was using water straight out of the faucet to make coffee, and then I switched over to the Brita water. Immediate difference. Something that I started doing that was suggested, rinsing your filters before you brew, before you put your coffee in and brew. Just take some hot water and rinse it out. For this unit, I brew, there's a little bit of water left in the tube after you're done brewing, and you can't get that out. It's in there, it's the way it is. So before I start my pot of coffee, I put a little bit of water in there, flushes it out, and it pre-warms my carafe. So when it pre-warms the carafe, you can put the filter in there, and that will rinse your filter out. That's one way to do it. Let's see how this tobacco is coming along. I'm looking at getting a Bmore 1600 coffee roaster for the beans. Because it's definitely not something I'm going to do just once in a while. I want to do it a lot. I drink a lot of coffee. I know a lot of people who drink coffee. I'm sure a lot of you out there drink coffee. If you've never seen how a calabash works, this is it. This is made out of a gourd that they actually grow specifically to make pipes with. They put a stem in it, and this is the bowl, which is made from meerschaum, which is a mineral. It doesn't really absorb things as far as it won't ghost out like a normal pipe, but it keeps the smoke a little cooler to avoid ruining my tongue, which is already burnt. I drank hot cocoa last night really late, and I paid for it. It was very hot. At that point, I had smoked a pipe an hour before and burnt my mouth terribly. Not so much my mouth, just my tongue. And it's a chemical burn, so there's really nothing you can do about it. The heat of the smoke only adds to it. But being a fast smoker, some of the tobacco I was too impatient and couldn't let it sit out for 10 minutes and dry a little bit, so I packed the pipe right out of the jar, and that was a mistake I won't make again soon anyways. So let's talk about this coffee. I'm gonna let this sit. I will read you the notes on this, even though I showed it to you. And right now I'm purchasing my coffees through Sweet Maria's, my green beans. Those guys are really great over there. Shout out to Sweet Maria's. Okay, so this is a Kenyan Coffee. It's from the Karandundu farm, I believe. And I roasted this to about a city roast. I didn't go too crazy with it. see. Nice color to the beans. Not over roasted. Yeah, I'm spilling beans. Not over roasted. Which is super important. Juicy flavor and acidity, pink grapefruit, citric brightness, plum top notes, caramel, or caramel, however you like to pronounce it, white grape juice, black tea. It said it's good for Kenyan espresso, which I do not have an espresso maker, but some of you guys may have them. Derek Tant, I know you got one. Yes, you do. I believe it's a fancy Italian one. I say fancy. They're all fancy. Well, I went through the first cup and we're on to the second. This coffee maker brews considerably hotter than the Black & Decker I had in the other room. I've set up a small kind of table as a makeshift coffee bar right now in my office here. But I'm going to be setting it up a little bit better, more permanent, in the weeks and months to come. So I taste everything that's in this that they have listed. I can't necessarily pick out these things. If you just asked me to describe the coffee, I probably would come out with 2 or 3 of the things out of this, but I wouldn't be able to list all the stuff off. I am by no means a professional coffee taster of any kind. I am a chef, so with that, flavor, how it smells, things like that, I'm super in tune with. Which is why I say when I go to different places, I can smell the coffee if it smells like where it's supposed to be when they're brewing it. When they pull a shot, when they open the hopper and put some beans in, I can smell. I don't even have to look to see that they're completely oiled over and all the oils and the goodness that was in that bean is gone. Something I have noticed with trying better coffee that I roasted myself is if I leave a little bit of coffee in the cup, usually by the end of the second cup, I brew a liter of coffee at a time, which gets me 2 16-ounce cups, which is why this is my favorite cup. I have a couple of them that are 16-ounce like this, the perfect size, but if you taste this coffee when it's hot, like just enough to cool down, the other reason the straw is in there, by the way, it helps me taste the coffee sooner without burning my mouth, my throat. But if you taste this coffee throughout the whole spectrum, as it sits and cools to room temperature, and then let it get cool, like cold, let it sit there, and then take that last slurp of coffee. Drinking it through the straw, I can actually slurp it just like you would off of a spoon to cup coffee. You have probably seen people with the spoons with a round table of the same coffee or different coffees all in a cup with the grounds, and they break the grinds and then they spit it out. You can do a similar thing with your own coffee. Just let it get cold. I have found that I can taste everything that is on that little sticker that describes that coffee at different levels of heat in the cup. What I mean by that is, as it cools down, as I drink it, I'm able to taste different things. And I found that I prefer some coffees on the cooler side because I'm able to, a lot more things come through as they sit and cool. Just phenomenal. My in-laws got me a gooseneck kettle for pour over. My wife saw that I had the new coffee maker all set up last night, and she said, well, are we going to open one gift, because that's what we do on Christmas Eve. And I said, absolutely. I said, let me finish this pipe and I'll be right in. And 10 minutes later, I finished that pipe. That was the one that roasted my tongue. 10 minutes later, I finished the pipe. We went in, and she said, I think I know the gift that you should open. And so she handed me my grinder, my Baratza Encore. Super fast, really easy to set up. It came in 3 pieces with a gasket. You wash out the pieces, wash out the catch, dry it, put it back together with a rubber grommet, line up the arrows. It gives you a little card. I thought it came with an instruction booklet. No, each piece of the instructional was just a different language. Real simple. One card. You can see it's got both listings for Encore and Virtuoso, but basically you put the top on, you run a cup of beans through it at setting 30, which is one of the higher settings on there for, they say, for press pot coffee, for a French press. And then throw it out. And that gets your stuff ready to go. And then you rotate it to where you want and grind away. This coffee is phenomenal. Absolutely phenomenal. This coffee maker, the brewer, it's everything I could have wanted. I got a really great deal on this. I saved $125 by buying it on a mass drop deal. So that is the reason why I finally pulled the trigger. I was going to get the Bonavita, which is the next one down that they have rated. And that's about $150, $160, depending on where you buy it. I kept going back to the Mocha Master. I really wanted one. I've always wanted one. Like I said, it's been 10 years or so that I've really had my eyes on this thing, and I decided it was time. Once I found it on a fluke, they said there was a deal. It popped up in on something that I was on. I don't even know. Bing, I think. I was searching something. I think I just searched the word coffee, and this thing came up right at the top and said it was on the greatest deal they've ever seen. So I thought to myself, you should probably go get that. It worked out because it happened when I was searching for a new coffee maker, so. The snow is gorgeous. I love watching big fluffy snowflakes fall. I got a new clock that I'm going to be putting up right up here. I'm going to take the New York Giants flag down and move it. That's my new pipes and cigars calendar. Just got that with my last order of Backy. I'm going to roast up some beans today before I go out and about on Christmas excursions, because I'm leaving for 3 days to go visit my father and my stepmother and my sister, and I want to take good coffee with me. And I'm probably going to take my pour over pot. I don't know. I'm not going to take the Mocha Master. Maybe I'll just drink their coffee. No, that's not going to happen. They've got probably some Folgers or 8 o'clock bullshit that I'm not drinking off the store shelf. Yes, I've become a snob. I like to drink my coffee straight black with nothing in it because I intermittent fast. I don't eat any food until later in the day, sometimes later at night. I follow the Kino Body program. I can leave that link in the box too if I remember. But no sugar, nothing that will spike my insulin. And for me, it's been one of the best things ever. But by not putting creamer and all that in there, if the coffee isn't good, if it doesn't taste good, you're kind of missing something. You're missing out. I love coffee creamers. Love them. Love coffee creamers. You can make your own. It's really simple. There's a few different recipes on YouTube. Check it out. But if I'm going to drink coffee black, it's got to be good. It's got to taste good. There's no point in... We've all had the sludge that Grandma made, or Mom and Dad used to brew up in the morning. The kind of stuff that can stand a spoon up in the cup. And it's not flavorful, it's just bitter. Most home coffee brewers will not hold the amount of coffee that you need in the hopper, in the brew basket, and will not brew at the proper time to get that water through those grounds in a specific amount of time. There's a formula, folks, that they have came up with at the Specialty Coffee Association of America and Europe. The Gold Cup Standard. And if your coffee maker can brew at those, there's only a couple few of these machines on the market that are rated by the SCAA. And I wanted that specifically because I wanted to see what coffee, the standard of coffee was. Because I've had coffee. My great-grandparents used to make Italian espresso every morning in the, what did they have, a mocha pot? They had an old Italian, it wasn't a mocha pot, but that's basically what it was. And they made me coffee when I was younger one time. And I said, why are you drinking it in this little teeny tiny cup? What are you doing? And they said, oh, it's real strong, you don't drink a lot of this. Every afternoon they did this. My great-grandfather was from Sicily. My grandmother was from Naples, I believe. But it was super, super strong. Like, there's not enough sugar in the world for that strong. Well, when you're 10, 12 years old and you try Italian espresso or Italian mocha coffee for the first time in your life, you're blown away. Especially if you're used to just drinking weak drip coffee with some sugar and some milk in it, which was what I was used to drinking. But it was good. I was hooked. I've always loved the way coffee smells brewing. Now I enjoy, coffee smells different roasted when you're roasting coffee. It's definitely a different, you really have to get in tune with how the bean changes the smell as it's roasting. It starts out green and goes to yellow and then, turns to the different shades of brown. It's interesting to watch. I'm colorblind, different shades. I can't distinguish or see. But coffee beans I seem to be able to really, I don't know, I like watching it as it changes and kind of getting an idea with the first crack and second crack where it's got to be in. When I get a bag of beans in that I haven't tried before, I roast it at different levels and then I try them. I make different pots of coffee and see how it tastes. What can I pick out? What kind of flavors can I pick out at different roast levels? I don't go typically too dark on it, mainly because as much as I like cocoa and all that flavors from the beans, it's easy to go too far, and that's not what I'm looking for from a cup. I've had sludge coffee that's been over roasted for years, so now I'm trying to pull back and get more of the floral notes and things like that are in some of these beans. Well guys, we're at about a half hour. I'm going to say Merry Christmas, Happy New Year, and thanks for joining me. And we'll see you soon. And one of the things that I heard that kind of struck me that I thought was neat, and I've been saying more, is about coffee. And it's drink less more often. brew smaller pots, and drink more frequently throughout the day. Peace, YouTube.